What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation? I'll go first.
There are only two genders. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation? I'll go first. So this one time at band camp, what's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Oh God, okay? 2 words. 2 words that'll set off every generation in a different way, right? It happened to me today, and I'm trying to save you the ambush. 2 words. Say this. Say, I'm tired. And watch different generations react differently, right? If you say, I'm tired, right? The older generation are going to tell you why you don't deserve to be tired because they did all you did and more and then some and then still had to walk 5 miles uphill both ways and bought a house. Yeah, right? Younger generations, if they hear that you're tired, they're going to tell you why they're more tired than you, right? And then your generation, they're just going to be like, join the club, right? Get some Starbucks, jump back in the game, all right? You're not done playing. That's what they tell you. Actually, tell that to your boss. He'll schedule you more shifts.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Bachelor degrees did not become useless until Black and brown people started getting them. Back in the day, if you got a bachelor degree, that meant you can go into a company and be a supervisor or be a manager. Now it's considered entry level, which means the pay is less. So these degrees don't even pay for themselves anymore. The American dream has always been, up until recently, that if you go to school and better yourself, you could live a good life. Now that piece of paper doesn't even guarantee employment. Tell me I'm wrong.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Evangelicals, Baptists, fundamentalists, conservative Christians, listen up. You've prayed for years, decades even, for a revival in the church. All I heard was, bring it back to Jesus. Lord, let them bring it back to Jesus. It's happening. It's ongoing. You're just on the wrong side of it. You prayed for a revival, you got it, and you don't like how it looks.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Yes, I do have more to say. Baby boomers are by far the most entitled as well as destructive generation we have currently alive. To say this generation has held us back from the potential we could have reached is a woeful understatement. These fuckers got to grow up, go to college, get an education they could actually afford, then, which would allow them to get healthcare they could afford and to buy a house, have children, have grandchildren. And then they worked tirelessly to destroy that so their children couldn't reap the benefits, those same benefits. And then just told us, no, you just need to work hard and climb the ladder. You destroyed the ladder. Honestly, I think a lot of them did it because they're just spiteful, mean, bad people, honestly. And don't forget lazy. Yeah, I also think boomers are the laziest generation. But to see all those benefits of that system we have and then to rip it away from your own children, shame on you.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Gen Z is filled with a bunch of frail fucking pussies. Now let me explain. When I say filled, I don't mean everybody. I mean a small demographic. And by small demographic, I mean 95% of them. Alright, that might be a stretch. Maybe 94%. And the last 5 to 6% are people like me who were born at the fucking starting line of Gen Z, wishing we could go back just 1 year so we wouldn't have to classify as being in Gen Z. Even with something just as small as a joke. There's always that one very opinionated person that just flips the switch and drills you with criticism for it. It's like no one could laugh anymore. I should probably say I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings, but if I just hurt yours, you prove my point.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Most of Gen Z is a bunch of snowflake twaddle fucks that can't take a joke and really need to go outside and touch grass. If someone or somebody actually gets legitimately triggered at someone else for either making a lighthearted joke or a joke that was obviously satirical and not meant to be offensive, and they take it as a personal attack and attack the person, they're fucking losers. Oh yeah, and Goku solo's your favorite verse.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Baby boomers are by far the worst employees I've ever had. They are the most unproductive, unprofessional, and disruptive employees I've ever had. They are also the worst coworkers I've ever had. I was a retail manager for about 7 years, and almost exclusively the people that worked under me were young teenage girls. I would work with them over a boomer any fucking day. After my last job, I actually said, I will never do this again. It makes my life so fucking miserable working with these people. They call us entitled, but they literally can't perform the most basic functions of their job, like sending an email. They refuse to learn anything. They are not coachable. They also have some of the worst attendance track records I've ever seen. They just literally don't show up for work sometimes and think that's okay. And then have the fucking audacity to call us entitled. We work a 50-hour week to fix the shit they fuck.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Baby boomers are the most disrespectful and entitled generation out there. This is coming from somebody who has worked customer service for the past 5 years. They are the ones to complain about things that we cannot control, to argue over prices, of which apparently they all have them all memorized. I've never seen anybody from any other generation literally watch the screen and watch the prices and then argue with me as I'm scanning about something being like 3 or 4 cents off. They're the only ones to get hostile with us. They're one of the only ones to scream at us. A lot of Gen Xers do that too. They demand respect when they're giving extreme disrespect. To give you an example, I will greet everyone who comes in my line. I will make eye contact with them, ask them how their day. Baby boomers are the only ones to blatantly ignore me and not treat me as a human being. Senior day is one of the worst days to work. And then they say my generation is entitled.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
No matter how bad things get, there'll never be another civil war. There'll never be a revolution. There'll never be a significant uprising because people who are too worried about selfies and are willing to pay $4.50 for a cup of coffee do not have what it takes to revolt.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation? I'll go first.
Well, to put it in the simplest terms, I already made this video once before and it was kind of popping off. But then, yeah. But at first it was taken down for hate speech. So knowing me, I'm gonna give it a second try. And to not trigger anyone, I'll use code words. Any type of clothing comes in 2 types of sizes, male and female. Rap music is trash. It inspires people, mainly kids and the youth, to disrespect women and normalize crime. If a person that has a degree is making 18 an hour for his degree, why would a person that has no degree make the same amount? And lastly, for the scientists out there, life begins at conception. So if you abort the child, guess what? It's murder.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation? I'll go first.
This is for the boomers. It's going to be in 3 parts, but the first part I need to get out there is fuck you and your business. I don't give a shit. I'm here for a paycheck. Second off, you guys are out of touch and you don't understand the world you live in. You are fucking clueless. No, Karen, you cannot just pick up a broom and start sweeping until they give you a job. That's not how it fucking works. Also, Karen, you know damn well what a lawn service costs. No, the world's not falling apart just because you can't find teenagers to exploit over the summer. And finally, you guys are both entitled and insufferable. You climbed the ladder and you kicked it down. You destroyed the unions. You destroyed the housing market, the job market. There's literally almost nothing left. In fact, you guys fucked the planet up too. I'm not saying it's all your fault, but when you found out you fucked the planet up, maybe you should have taken some actions to fix it. So yeah, fuck you and what you believe in.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation?
Well, since my last video got taken down because it triggered somebody, let's try this again. Male or female, there are only two genders.